Hello there. Greetings, everybody. Welcome here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So, it's Thursday night. It's time for an episode of Not What We Hoped For. So, this is a bi-weekly episode, comes out every second week, alternates with big surprises. Comes out around 8 o'clock. So we're working on it right now. So I picked an album. So basically, before I get started, basically what I do here is I pick an album that I really like, but for some reason I had an expectation up here and it only hit quite here. So it didn't really meet where I wanted it to. And so I guess in some sense of the word, even though I liked it and all, it was a little bit disappointing. And this album qualifies for that fairly well. Now I know I've had some people complain that I'm putting the knock on an album, but it's not a knock on the album. It's just how I feel about it. It just really didn't make it where I had it. So in most cases, my expectations have been too high, and that's the case with this particular album tonight we're doing. This is Ronnie James Dio's second studio album. Sorry, I'm just going to put my glasses on here. That came out. What year was this one? 1984. So his first studio album was Holy Diver. Really knocked it out of the park. That album was a great album. I love it. Guitaring is fantastic. The drumming is heavy, as you would expect from Vinny Appice, and then you got Ronnie's voice, and the songs were memorable. The album cover was fantastic. So when the second album came out, which is this one, The Last in Line, I was hoping for the same kind of response. I was hoping for, like Ozzy had The Blizzard of Oz, and then he had Diary of a Madman. I was kind of hoping for that same kind of thing, because The Blizzard of Oz is a really good album. I think Diary's a little bit better. And I was hoping for the same thing here, and I didn't get it. Yeah, this is a good album. Everything's pretty much the same. I think it's all the same people. Just want to check to make sure that I'm not blowing dust in the wind here. I want to make sure. Where is it? Of course, it doesn't say, right? Why is that always the case? Okay, so you've got Ronnie James Dio on vocals and keyboards, Vinny Appice on drums, Jimmy Bain on bass, and Vivian Campbell on guitar. And you got Claude Schnell plays a little bit of guitar, keyboards as well. So it's basically the same group of people. And I was hoping for a replica of Holy Diver. And it's a good album. There's some stuff on here that I like. Speed of Night, of course, The Last in Line, Evil Eyes, Eat Your Heart Out. Yeah, there's some decent tracks on here, and at times some strong tracks. And when it first came out, I did like it, but I always had this sense in the back of my head that it wasn't quite as good as Holy Diver, so it was a bit of a letdown. Even though it's got the nice album cover, some great tracks, the title track, Last in Line, really good as anything on that first album, and the same as Holy Diver. The title track was fantastic. But it just, for me, it just doesn't cut to the chase the way I hoped it would. I had, I guess, too high an expectation for it to be really another Diary of a Madman, and it just didn't quite make it there. And so all these years later, even though I own it again and I like it, I still always have this feeling like somehow it isn't quite what I hoped it would be. So there's this little overhang of it being a little bit on the disappointing side. So that was the album I chose to talk about tonight. You know, it's got, like I said, all the elements you would want. Dio sounds fantastic. Vivian Campbell's fantastic again. Vinny Appice, great. Jimmy Bain, great. It's all good, but just not the same level as Holy Diver. I would think Holy Diver's like up here, and it's kind of like the weak sister down here. And then I think Dio I think this was kind of the same thing in some ways, except for I think Ozzy had a couple of great albums where this one only had just really the one, and this one was okay. So Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Not Quite What We Hoped For. Maybe you feel different about this album, and maybe you have something to say. You can say that in the comment section. I try not to take it personally. And please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and the notification bell above my head. And we'll be back next week when we'll be doing an episode of Big Surprises. And I don't know what that big surprise is going to be yet. It'll be a surprise to me too. So we will see you then. Have yourself a good evening. Take care and good night.